Hi everybody, I am Charlie from Dr. Wen, and welcome along to a brand new Doctor Who YouTube video. As promised, I am back, and today I thought I'd do another top 10. I've not really done any top 10s in a while. I did top 10 best and worst episodes in New Who, but that's about it. So I thought I'd do top 10 underrated episodes, followed tomorrow by, good guess, top 10 overrated episodes of New Who. So yes, this is only going to be including New Who, and yeah, basically episodes that I think either get too much hate or, aren't recognised as much as they should be. I don't necessarily like all of these episodes, but some of them are just way too overhated, and some, they're just, really not talked about enough. So I'm going to be doing my top 10 of those from 10th most underrated to first most underrated. Also, this is only going to be including Doctor Who, the TV show, not any extended media like books, comics, audiobooks, Big Finish, anything like that. And also only New Who, not Classic Who. I've only seen around 40 Classic Who stories, so I don't think it would be quite fair to lump in all those classic stories with New Who, especially since I've only seen, well, not all that much of it. So without further ado, let's get into this video, and I hope you enjoy. Stick around to find out my top spot for underrated episodes. So, in 10th place we have The Caretaker, an episode which I really enjoy. I've given it an 83%. I use percentage as kind of my default rating for episodes. I think out of 10 is just too broad a spectrum, to be honest. But yes, 83% does really fit the story very well. I think lots of Series 8, very serious stories like Deep Breath, Into the Dalek, Listen, Time Heist, but this one I think people take seriously, and that's why they don't like it. This really isn't a story that's supposed to be taken seriously. There's not actual stakes, and it's not supposed to be a good villain. It's supposed to be a comedy story with a robot that kills some people. That's all it's really supposed to be. It's a very small-scale, light-hearted, fun story, and it does that flawlessly. It's a very good story. The villain design, it's okay, there's nothing special about it. It's just a kind of generic killer robot, to be honest. But the main thing I love about this story is the characters. We have the brilliant 12th Doctor and Clara. Their dynamic is amazing. We also have the 12th Doctor kind of thinking that someone else is Danny Pink the entire time. That's really funny. And yeah, we also have, obviously, Danny finding out about the Doctor's, TARDIS and the fact he's an alien. And yeah, I really enjoy all of that. It sets up Danny's death in Dark Water quite nicely as well. And, just gives him a lot more character development. I don't mind the character of Danny. Lots of people really don't like him. But yeah, I think this either gets too much hate or isn't really talked about enough, to be honest with you. It's a very good story. Next up, in 9th place, we have Asylum of the Daleks, an episode which it often gets said as one of the worst Doctor Who stories of all time, which I really disagree with. This sometimes even reaches bottom 10 episodes of the list, to which I incredibly disagree with. The whole concept is brilliant when you think about it. An entire planet filled with creepy broken Daleks. It's really good, and this is the episode, in my opinion, that made the Daleks scary again. It made them menacing and genuinely quite creepy, something they were starting to lose over the course of New Who. They were really creepy in Dalek, and every one of their appearances just made them less and less scary, till in Series 5 then they just looked pretty ridiculous, to be honest with you. But yeah, this is really good. We have lots of setup for the Impossible Girl arc throughout Series 7, with the introduction of Oswin, who is actually a Dalek, which in hindsight is actually quite an obvious twist, to be honest. It's evidently the inside of a Dalek. And yeah, this is really good. The only complaint I have towards this story really is Amy and Rory. I'm not that keen on them in this story, but feel free, or in Series 7A to be general, but feel free in the comments below to put your opinions on Amy and Rory being in Series 7A. In my opinion, I think their arcs were kind of completed in Series 6B, and they didn't really need developing further, to be honest with you. But feel free to put in the comments on your opinions. I'd love to hear them. In 8th place, we have Nightmare in Silver. This is a Series 7 episode again that is way too hated. This gets like 3s and 4s out of 10 that it really doesn't deserve. I've given this a 93%, so, it's a very good story. It's a, really good Cyberman story. The Cybermen genuinely look pretty cool, with like modern, sort of futuristic design, and it looks incredibly good. The setting on this is also brilliant. We have this kind of outer space theme park, and it looks really good. All of it's quite creepy, but I would just wish this was a two-parter. Lots of people who don't like this say it should have been a two-parter, and I completely agree. However, it's still a very good story. We have loads of cool action scenes with the Cybermen against Clara and her army, Although the Doctor just does, for most of it, just kind of sit there and play chess with himself. I don't think the Doctor's character should have been utilised to the way it kind of, could have been, but it's still a very, very good story, and I really, really like it. It's so, so good. Next up, Praxis. Praxis is a Series 12 story, and is one of the most recent stories of Doctor Who made, and broadcast. It's a very good story in my opinion. We have lots of mystery within this. We have kind of 3 events across the world that aren't connected at first, that, the Doctor and her companions are kind of figuring out, but eventually we kind of see, how they all connect, and it just works incredibly well. Lots of people really don't like this because of its environmental message. I think Doctor Who episodes with environmental messages are good, since when is that a bad thing? But yeah, I actually really, really enjoy this. It gives a lot of development to the companions, and the story in general is very fast-paced and intense, and it's really, really good, honestly. Next up, we have The Lie of the Land, a Series 10 episode. You may have noticed that lots of these are from, kind of the Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, David Tennant era, Jodie Whittaker era. That's mainly because lots of those stories are quite hated. Most of the loved stories are within the 9th and 10th Doctor's eras, which I think should really be the other way around, to be honest with you. But Lie of the Land, it's a very, very good story. This has a 94% in my book. It's very, very good. Feel free to post your opinions in the comments below on, what do you think about the story, because personally I love it. I think all of it's incredible, with the monks kind of invading Earth and filling it with propaganda about how they've been there for years. We have that awesome scene with Bill actually shooting the Doctor. That was amazing character development for her, by the way. And then the Doctor fakes regeneration. The stakes are really, really high. It's just so epic, and the finale of the Monk trilogy is just plain brilliant, to be honest. It really doesn't deserve the hate it gets, and definitely does not deserve the title as the weakest in the Monk trilogy. I think that title really goes to the Pyramid at the End of the World, which still in my book gets a 92%, so, it's not really that far apart in terms of percentages. So, let's move on to... Sorry about that. Sorry, I'm really sorry about that. Let's Kill Hitler. A story about, basically they go back in time to 1930s Germany, and, yeah, they're basically in there. The setting doesn't really do that much for the story at all, and it's not that great. I've given it a 77%, so it's not awful. It's not that brilliant either. I think it does give a lot of development for the companions, especially River, who, reveals to be Amy and Rory's kind of childhood friend, which was really interesting. And it gives a lot of backstory towards River Song as well, and, kind of keeps up with the arc. However, it can't really decide what kind of story it wants to be. It's torn between being a River story and this weird robot thing that can shapeshift and is trying to kill people, and yeah, it's a very controversial story. I can see why. However, I think it's a very good story with River and the Doctor kind of getting all of her regenerations, and yeah, it's a very enjoyable story, and I really like it. It's very good. Next up, we have Hellbent. Thank goodness we didn't have that weird 10-second gap in the screen. I don't know why that happened, by the way, sorry. Hellbent, again, another story I'm not that keen on, but I think it is very overhated. This gets like 2s, 3s, 4s out of 10s, and I think it really doesn't deserve that. I've given it a 76%, so basically 7.6 out of 10. So, yeah, it's not that great. I think Heaven Sent should have been the finale, to be honest, with maybe a little bit on Gallifrey at the end. But yeah, it's just really, really weird. We have Clara coming back. We have this really odd scene where she and Shielder, that girl from The Girl Who Died and the Woman Who Lived, somehow go on this weird TARDIS diner thing, and the Doctor's on Gallifrey for some reason, and none of it really makes sense, and it is a bit of a step down from Heaven Sent. However, there's some really great scenes, like the 12th Doctor exiling Rassilon from Gallifrey. We have some very, very good scenes, to be honest with you, and yeah, it's still, I still got some form of enjoyment out of this story, even though lots of people really, really didn't. Next up, we have 42, the first 10th Doctor story in this list. This is another episode that is really, really overhated by people. This gets like 4s, 5s, 6s, maybe sometimes 7s out of 10. For me, this gets a 92%, so basically a 9.2 out of 10, and it's really, really good. We have this creepy entity from the sun that's kind of possessing people and then killing other people. We have this, kind of race against time, with the 42 minutes to, before they crash into the sun and all die. We have that really emotional scene with Martha almost dying, and I actually thought they were going to kill her off then, because, it was quite far into the season, so I thought they might have actually done that. That would have been a very bold move, but I'm quite glad they didn't, because I like Martha as a companion, to be honest with you. The 10th Doctor has some brilliant performances in this story, and I just really like it. It's, it's an intense, sort of base under siege, claustrophobic story, and I really, really enjoy it. It's so, so good. And it's written by Chris Chibnall, a writer of Doctor Who I actually really, really like. So, there we go. Next up, The Doctor's Daughter. I love this story, it's so, so good. I've given it an 87%, so 8.7 out of 10. And it's very, very good. This gets some really low ratings again, and I don't really see why. It's a really fun story. Georgia Tennant, or previously Moffat, plays a very, very good... daughter to the Doctor, who, funnily enough, is actually the Doctor's daughter. She's Peter Davison's daughter, and, funnily enough again, David Tennant's wife, which is quite amusing, and yeah, this is a really, really good story. We have some really good things with this kind of week-long war with a Hath. I think the setting is very, very good, very claustrophobic. The whole concept of all these tunnels and this kind of creepy alien planet, it's really, really good. All of it I really enjoy, and I'm really glad that Jenny got her own Big Finish stories, because, she's a brilliant character. I actually really like her. But yeah, it's a very good story. Very overhated. Again, yes. There we go. Next up, we have Love and Monsters. This is, most of the time it gets kind of this trophy as the worst Doctor Who story of all time, and I'm saying that lots of people actually consider this to be the worst story. It's not that bad. It really, really isn't that bad. I've given it a 79%, so it's not a great story by any means. It's still good, though. The Absorbaloff is a stupid villain. Yes, part 3 is utterly abysmal. But the first and second acts are actually quite, half decent. We have this kind of group of people just trying to figure out who the Doctor is and having fun. It's not necessarily, a prime example of what a Doctor Who episode is, but it's not bad by any means, yeah, that third act is really stupid. I'm kind of excluding it for now. But we have Elton, who's actually a really enjoyable character, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. And we do have some ties to Doctor Who, like the Doctor and Rose do appear briefly, and Jackie is quite an integral part of this story. So I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody, and like I said, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It would really help me out, and next time. So, tomorrow I'm going to be doing another video, funnily enough, I already told you, about top 10 overrated episodes. So, things like, Time of the Doctor, as you can see there, and other stories I consider to be quite overloved and overliked. So, there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you then. Goodbye.